All right. Good morning, everyone. Actually, my pleasure to say good morning. My name is Sean, and I'm happy to host today's webcast. I think it's going to be a really great one. Um, Obviously, you're making an investment of your time like this as beneficial, as informative as possible. This is not a sales presentation. This is for educational purposes. Often, um, companies like understanding what is going on in the market, what challenges that others are facing, and how they might be able to overcome some of those current challenges. So today we'll focus on those things and around what Production Coach can do to help in all of those areas. So anyway, today's webcast won't last more than an hour, so rest assured we're going to go kind of quick through this, but cover a lot of what I believe will be highly beneficial information. So here we go. On your screen, you should be seeing a slide that says 2021 customer challenges. I decided to put that down since, to some degree, we're at least through the pandemic or hope to be, those kind of things. And so I'm going to focus on other challenges other than COVID today. One of the most common things that we hear from business owners is that they are too busy. If you'll notice in the slide, they're doing a great amount of work. They're too busy, and someone could be offering them a round wheel instead of a square stone, which would make life a lot easier. I think it's a challenge for any business owner to work on the business instead of in the business. Of course, we have to pay attention inside of our business, but I think we always have to be forward looking and determining the kinds of things that we can do to move the business forward. You know, we have a lot of responsibilities as business owners. Employees depend upon us for being able to pay them, vendors, customers, our own families. There's a lot of challenges. And so I just wanted to make a couple of comments related to Production Coach. First of all, this is a very fast implementation. For many of you, you've probably implemented other softwares that took a long time in process, lots of work and lots of frustration to be able to get up and going. However, with Production Coach, that's not the case. It's actually very fast to implement. And I want to just share with you a few things. First of all, we have already developed links to the popular CAD systems available here in North America. So that means instead of having to do a whole bunch of development on the side, you literally press a button and say import a work order, and all of a sudden it's available within Production Coach so that you can begin to be using it like super fast. So we've already worked out those things, so took that first part right out of it. We also have developed what is called a new customer starter bundle. And this is really a recipe focused on how we can do a fast implementation that brings a huge amount of value and impact to an organization. And it is done in such a way that there's not a lot of variables and things to be worked through. It is literally how to get started in a rapid deployment with ensured 100% success. Also, we provide for you the exact hardware that makes it super easy. You know, we all understand that there would be computers in the shop. You know, computer and a monitor is not a big deal. We decide if it's touchscreen or not. But when it comes to barcode scanners, when it comes to printing, maybe of product labels, of kit labels, those kind of things. So we provide that for you. So you can literally just drop it into Google, place your order, and away you're done. And so you can have the hardware in so we can get going. Also, I just want to say from a too busy standpoint, an incredibly fast return on investment. When I survey customers, I almost never hear someone come back that actually tracks ROI and say that it's more than 6 months. So in your business, what other investment can you make that has a complete ROI and can transform the factory in less than 6 months. So if we're too busy today, when is a good time? I've been asked about, hey, do you have any competitors? And I say yes. The only competitors we have are companies that are either too busy or too slow. If they're too busy, they think that they can't implement new technology. And if they're too slow, then they're afraid to make the investment. So decide today whether that will remain a challenge for you. I'll move on to employees in the center upper portion of the screen. We all know that there's a number of challenges related to employees. Even before the pandemic, it's hard. Managing employees, keeping them happy, training them properly, having good communications. Do they work as a team? And now going through the periods of time that we are, you hear almost nothing but news related to the fact that businesses can't get people to even apply, whether it's the subsidies from government or just fear of COVID or whatever it is. Maybe they got used to laying on a couch during COVID, but it's a challenge just to be able to get employees. And if we do get one, then we hope that they show up, that they're actually, desiring to keep a job for a while, and we invest time and energy to make them productive for our organization. I want to tell you a truth that is a real thing. Who we are hiring today grew up differently than probably some of us as business owners did. They had electronics and smart devices in their hands their entire life. They think differently about automation and about technology than maybe some employees of the past. There was a time we said, oh my gosh, I got sawdust in my veins. Well, that's not the case in the modern workforce today. And I will tell you that Production Coach makes a huge impact for being able to engage with new employees. Literally, it enables them to be able to follow the screen, to know exactly what to do. It's modern. It's a factory environment that is not just about sawdust, but it's about data management, about modernization. And, I hate to say this, but we've been sending out paper work orders for a cajillion years. And, there's a whole generation that thinks that that's completely silly, and so let's make our factories a place to where people would want to come and work. And so I think that there's a real opportunity there. I want to talk about shipping errors for just a moment. I have to tell you that I have surveyed literally thousands of factories, and very seldom do I find a company that says that they never have any errors in shipping. I suspect that either they don't know or they just might not want to admit, but it's rampant in our industry. There is all kinds of details and things that make what we do very difficult. Often, we're some of the last contractors on site, and the speed at which we have to do things, and trying to get all the parts and pieces organized. Maybe we get all the cabinets on the truck, but we missed some fillers, or we missed a pallet of adjustable shelves, or an appliance, or whatever it is. Production Coach can ensure that we have the ability to 100% know before the truck door leaves whether everything has been scanned onto the truck. We can ship inaccurately and just deal with it. I've asked a lot of companies over time, how much does it cost you a year? And very few have any idea what the real cost to their organization is. I had a company out of Minnesota told me one time that they tracked it, and it was $75,000 in the last year is what they figured that it had cost them just for shipping inaccuracies. I repeated that to someone I was talking to Production Coach about, and he says, I don't know what my costs are, but I know it's a much larger number than that. Guys, if we think about it, if we just solve that one problem for just a fraction of what it's costing us, it could make a huge difference in our company for sure. When we say, what does it cost? Well, I'm not just talking about holding up the job site. I'm not just talking about expediting and shipping. I'm not just talking about wasting time, hunting for things that we thought got onto the truck. I'm not just talking about the disruption it is to our factory when we have to, sneak in remakes and do all kinds of setup and stuff to be able to get that back out. It's also a poor reflection on the quality of our company. We might produce the best shop drawings. We might have a great name. We might build quality product. We might perfect installations. But when we don't ship our quality, and what is the value of that itself? Next, I want to talk about inflation for a moment. I suspect that everyone here is experiencing some amount of inflation, not just costs at the pumps, but costs for raw materials, and not just costs for them, but even shortages in some cases. And so we might say, well, how does Production Coach help with that? It doesn't, it can't change the price at my suppliers. No, but as business people, when we have costs increasing, we are immediately looking for what can I do to protect or to increase profits. And so one of the ways that we can do that is by increasing our throughput, by reducing our labor, by making fewer mistakes, to having better communications. And Production Coach does all of those things. If it's giving you an ROI in an average of 6 months or less, you can bet that it's changing the entire profit structure, the throughput capabilities. It's not uncommon at all for our customers to tell us that with less labor, they were able to throughput 30 to 40% more. In some cases, numbers even larger. So I think that it may be a way for you to hedge against inflation. Deadlines. This is a huge challenge for many customers, especially in the wood industry. Often we're last contractor or subs into a job. Once it's ready for us, there is, of course, lots and lots of pressure to be able to get sign off. This means that when we have super tight deadlines, we have to be super efficient in our manufacturing processes. There's a number of things that I can say related to this. Not only with Production Coach can you push production through the factory much faster. One of our technologies that is related to sorting is often used by customers when they have to expedite, for example, a work order ahead of something that was already in process. It takes way less area to push a job to the side that is sorted and organized vertically versus, well, we've got it this far, we've got to build these cabinets or we're going to have too much damage and all these problems. And so now we don't have room to do that. It took extra time. Now with Production Coach, it literally enables you to be able to group, to be able to sort, to be able to do things so that you can take control and to be able to manage deadlines in a better way. Not only do we have the ability to deal with hot jobs and that kind of stuff, but you're able to see the status of all your work and what's been done and what can be promised and how do we move up schedules and all that kind of stuff. So I believe that it can also help us manage deadlines. I'm next on to mistakes. But this particular one, I was in a presentation actually in Canada by a very wise friend who had a giant whiteboard and it was completely blank, and he had a room of about 40 customers and he only drew a dollar sign. And of course, everybody knows that the dollar sign is relative to money, of course. And he said, friends, when we catch a mistake in estimation, it costs us one of these. And he said, friends, and he draws two dollar signs below that. This is very profound. And he says, when we catch a mistake in engineering, it costs us two of these. He draws $3 signs below, and he said, friends, when we catch a mistake in manufacturing, it costs us three of these. But when we catch the mistake at a customer, it costs us far more than it does in the other places. Production Coach can help us prevent mistakes. It can help us in a number of ways to increase our profitability and to make the customer experience much better. Finally, I want to talk about job site communications for just a moment. This is a challenge for many of our customers. I think about them really having, three business segments that many are dealing with. If you're not having to do installs and that kind of stuff, maybe you can't relate. But for many of our customers, they really have a sales and design kind of side to their business where they're estimating and doing various, kinds of design work to be able to get sales, into the company. They also have then, an engineering and manufacturing element to their business. But then for a lot of customers, they are also having to manage, deliveries and installations. And so having incredible communication tools to the job site is transforming to customers. The little diagram I thought was kind of a cute one, that the business manager of the factory is looking at it and he can clearly see that the information is that you need 4 of something, and the guy at the job site is looking at exactly the same thing from his direction or perspective, and he is seeing clearly 3. I believe that Production Coach can make a huge impact if we extend it to the job site. This means that your delivery people, your installation people could have web access to the Production Coach packing list, to be able to see all of the items, to be able to scan barcodes, to be able to literally update statuses so you know what's been done, what's not been done, to create damage alerts that come back to the factory in real time, to be able to take images and have all those things captured and to deal with punch list items. And so I hope that in some way I've helped convey to you some of the top challenges that companies are facing today. Production Coach can make a huge impact upon those things. I want to talk to you for just a moment to kind of bring all this to light. What is this about? What is it doing? And realistically, this comes down to scanning a barcode. When we scan a barcode, we are doing intelligent data management. For example, today, you might be printing barcodes at nested-based machines or panel saws, and those might contain a barcode that you are scanning at an operation, for example, a vertical machining or horizontal bore, down insertion, or whatever it is, that is intelligent, and that when you scan it, it's pulling up the program for the operator, so they're not having to look through work lists to figure out what in the world that they want to operate next. Let's think about extending the value of that very same barcode to be able to help us in our factory in a number of ways. On the screen, what you should see is an example of a part label. Your labels may look nothing like this, but this happens to be a semi-common kind of format that we see from a lot of customers. And the label themselves can contain some great information about the part, about the product, about the job, about the all of those kinds of things. They have some value. But when we harness the barcode, we can do far more. So here are some part label scan functions that are possible within Production Coach. Of course, you can scan the barcode and view the part size and material information on screen instead of trying to read a label. You can view the part machining details. I've had companies to me say, if I could just do that one function when somebody has a question about how something is machined, to know that it's right or that's what it's meant to be, that would be great value in the program. You can scan a part barcode and change its status. For example, maybe I scanned it at horizontal bore and down insertion, and now it's updated the status. I know that that part or what parts have been done from the work order. Simple to be able to have computers in location, scan a barcode, and change the status of the part. You can scan a barcode and create a damaged or missing part alert. For other companies, I've said if we could just have a way to automatically manage our damaged parts, because people intend to fill out things or whatever it is, and they get put to the side, and now something is held up downstream because that didn't get remade, and and now we're going to have to disrupt an order that's in a rush. So this will create a damaged electronic alert that goes to whatever stations that you want it to be, and you get to decide in your factory how those things are managed. I know for many customers, they have appreciated the module of sorting that allows them to be able to scan all of the parts after panel processing, and then make a determination what to do with the damaged parts. So they could be ahead of assembly, for example, 4 hours, and that gave them enough time to do the collection of those. We might say, hey, I don't know if we have damaged parts. I mean, in work orders for our customers, they usually are batched 30 to 40 cabinets. And so let's use a median of 35 cabinets and say 10 parts on average. That's 350 parts. If we only had a 1% damage or missing rate, that would still be 3.5 parts for every single work order that we're running. So being able to manage those things automatically is really powerful. We can scan a part barcode and see all of the product related information. So no longer is it just a part on its own. If we scan it, we can see everything about the product, including it in 3D. We can see all the other associated parts and fronts and hardware and all the details that we might need to know in order to be able to move forward with that part. We can scan a part label and generate a product label. So typically for our customers at assembly, Production Coach is generating now a barcode for the product itself. So that can happen directly from just scanning a single part that has been sorted. We could scan a part barcode and include in a kit and even then generate a label. So by example, we might make a determination in our factory that we don't want to assemble adjustable shelves. So coming off the edge bander, we're scanning those parts onto a pallet, and so now we have a nice collection of adjustable shelves. We say, yep, that's full enough. We click in and scan in order to be able to generate the barcode representing all of the adjustable shelves on the pallet. So wrap that up, and now we have something ready to be made part of a packing list and onto the truck. We can scan a part barcode and sort by cabinet. I'm telling you, this is an incredible feature of Production Coach. And just a quick side story, one time we were doing a factory tour before COVID, and the owner, in order to be able to make an impression on the companies attending, literally hired a gal. She was a temp worker. She'd never been to this company before, and he literally had given her no instructions other than to follow us along, and he handed her a barcode, and he said, here is a transfer cart. What I want you to do is to grab each part and scan its barcode and just do what the screen tells you. And so literally she was able to be productive. Talk about being able to make an employee productive quickly. She was able to sort all of his cabinet parts by literally scanning a barcode and just putting it in the slot that Production Coach tells you to do. And so it's that simple, it's that easy, it's that fast. You can scan a part barcode and you can group it by part type, by material, or by work order. Let me explain for just a moment. Maybe I'm coming off of a panel saw or a CNC, and maybe I've even batched multiple work orders for optimization results, but now I want to be able to split those orders after first operation by work order. We can do that. Maybe you want to be able to sort it by material because some things are going to be going to finish. We can do that. Maybe you want to sort it by part type in order to have the proper routings of parts through the factory. We can do that. Maybe you want to sort it by the edge materials so that when we feed it downstream to edge bander, they're getting the right collection of parts that are all grouped by the edge material that they're supposed to be. So we can do all those things. Here's a little example of a really basic product label coming out of Production Coach. Of course, we can include any information that we imported from the CAD system on this. In this case, I have a PM004, which happened to be the name of the work order. The name of the cabinet happened to be open base. It has a side, and we have a barcode. The barcode is the critical thing, but you can have more information on your label, of course. Here's also a couple of other examples. Loose items, I mentioned adjustable shelves earlier. Maybe we want to make a kit for those, palletize them and go. In some of our customers' case, they're also palletizing products. So it gives you an easy ability to scan the barcode of the products, fill up the pallet the way you want, click end, and now generate a barcode for the pallet itself. And so we call this grouping management. So products, kits, and work order scan functions. So you can scan a product barcode and change the status of the product. Maybe we say that it's assembled, maybe we say that it's staged, whatever it is. You can scan the part barcode and you can include it in a kit. We just covered that a minute ago. You can scan the product barcode and create a damaged product alert. You know, we don't like to think about those kind of things happening, but sometimes when we got to move stuff around, you know, cabinet could fall off a forklift or get ran over by a forklift or whatever might happen. And so you can generate damaged product alerts. You can scan a product barcode and stage it into a warehouse location. This is a really good one for customers. Often, even though there's a giant rush, they don't have the luxury of just going directly from assembly onto the truck. And often there are items that need to go onto the truck that are not even coming down the assembly line. And so being able to scan product barcodes, kits, and all those kind of things into a warehouse location, you know, like A1, A2, you know, that kind of stuff, however you want to divide that up. Now, everybody can know exactly where that order is being staged and even what's been already staged and what's left to be staged. You can scan a product barcode and you can load onto the truck. Again, we want to make sure that we have 100% accurate shipments. You can scan a kit barcode and change its status. So we might want to, you know, move that from, okay, it's been palletized to now it's been staged or whatever you want to do. You can scan a kit barcode and load onto the truck. So we're not limited to only scanning product onto the truck. You can also scan collections of items onto the truck. You can scan a work order barcode and designate that you have started a work order, and you can scan a work order barcode and mark it as complete. Those last two, I want to take just a moment to explain. There may be operations in your factory where you don't want to be able to scan every part. For example, let's just say at edge banding, I don't want to scan every single part. I'm only going to tell the system that I have begun on a work order, and when I'm complete with the work order, I scan a second barcode, and now it's marked as complete. So maybe the only things I scanned individually were the adjustable shelves in order to kit them. So this is a little example of what I call a 3D factory. And in this case, I want to review with you the number sequences here so that maybe this will make sense. By the way, this very thing is found at our website, www.rsasolutions.com. Just go under products and select on Production Coach, and you will see a vast amount of information. There's tons of videos, screenshots, a number of things, but here you'll also find the 3D factory. So what does number one depict? Number one is showing you that from the office, you're able to do a number of functions. And this is not all of the functions. This is just the functions related to the new customer starter bundle. And so here, maybe in the office, what you want to do is you want to be able to import the work order from your CAD/CAM system. Maybe you want to attach a PDF. You know, this is on-demand documentation that you have available at any station. And so when you have the ability to improve communications, we don't have to wait for the factory to not know what they're doing and they need to come into the air conditioning and ask a question that disrupts engineering, and then they wander back out to the factory, and pretty soon we have a whole bunch of time loss. So you're able to not only include the data from the CAD system about the work order, you know, the parts and pieces and all that kind of stuff, but also documentation as well. You could also, many of our customers also create the packing list for shipping from the office. And so those are things, maybe even the office is used as the place for damaged part alerts. Depending upon the CAD/CAM software that you have, it may or may not, in addition to the nest, if we're doing nesting, create the individual part program. So we might actually need to re-nest those in the office. And so those are just some basic functions that we could do in the office. Number 2 is just depicting first operation. For many of our customers, it's important to know when a work order has actually hit in the factory. When did we start on that? And so many companies, whether at nested-based machines or panel saws, want to have a station that is helping them understand first operation. And in some cases, that first operation is where the damaged part alerts are going. And if you have principles and rules within your organization, then they should know exactly when to act and react on those so that we're not holding up assembly or shipments or job site or those kind of things. Number 3 is to depict that you by no means have to have a station for production coach at every place that you have people working. You know, this has to be an evaluation of, am I going to get enough value by scanning at this particular operation? So for some of our customers, they don't even scan until number 4 sorting. For others, they want to know precisely where everything is, and we can absolutely help you with those things, but just want you to be aware that it doesn't have to be at every imaginable workstation that you have. Number 4 is depicting the very sorting operation. So you'll see that we don't sort coming off of first operation, or that would make it inefficient for edge banding or horizontal boring. And so we're grouping, you know, coming off of first operation for most efficiency downstream. And once we have done the panel processing, then we can simply scan a part barcode and production coach will organize it by product. And this makes it really, really amazing. And by the way, for those of you who may be processing fronts and drawers separately, we can even synchronize the sorting. And so that at assembly, number 5, when they scan any part barcode, it can also tell them they know that this is the cubby that contains the parts for the cabinet. It can also tell them where to locate which rack and which slot for their fronts and drawers as well. So really powerful. So item 5 is assembly. And so literally with a part barcode scan, any one of the parts, it's going to pull up a 3D image of the product. It's going to show them all of the parts, all the sub-assemblies, all the hardware that they possibly need in order to be able to assemble the cabinet, and then a scan will generate a product label and update the status of the product to assemble. Number 6 is meant to depict that for many of our customers, they don't get to go directly onto the truck all the time. And so the ability to organize the warehouse space that we do have, if we do have any, to be able to know how work orders are being staged and what is contained in those staging things and what might be missing, because we want to know when we say, yep, truck's here to be able to ship, that we're not scrambling. 7 is the perfect remedy for 100% accurate shipments, to eliminate shipping errors. If you are principal, we have packing lists. They can't scan things that are not on the packing list. You know, it's a huge alert for them. It will literally show you everything that's been scanned onto the truck and what's missing before you ever close that truck door. And of course, if something is missing and we're utilizing production coach, we at least know where it was last, right? So we can eliminate the hunting and trying to find and go ahead and ship it, and we'll find it or remake it and we'll expedite it. So it's about changing your factory to 100% accurate shipments. And then finally, I wanted to include, because the diagram shows number 8, the ability to extend production coach even to the job site. And so there they have direct access to whatever is their packing slips. And so they're only seeing their own. Maybe you've got 3 or 4 or 5 different delivery options. They're only seeing what's assigned to them. And now you can know exactly what's been delivered and all that kind of stuff. This is time and date stamp as well. So it's really powerful to be able to have that information. Maybe at the delivery truck, maybe there was a problem, and so they scanned a barcode and said, oops, I have a damage, and this happens to be a two-door base cabinet. And what was the reason for the damage? Well, you're able to have a list of your damage choices, and so he picks fell off the truck. We don't want to hear that, but those things happen, right? And so you could get an alert, but not just an alert about that product. When he selects that, it's now going to display for him or her a complete list of the parts. So maybe it was only the left door. He's able to literally select on left door. If you want, take a picture or an image of it, and literally that alert will come right back to your factory. And so even before he could pick up the phone and call you, you'll already know about those things and be ready to act upon them as well. Or installations, the same thing. I have customers that not only like to know that the installation of elevations were done, but to actually take pictures of them, for the job site. We like to think we're the only people on job site, but we also know that sometimes other people cause damage and problems. So that is, in essence, the presentation that I prepared for today. Want to thank you so much for registering and attending today's webcast. I hope in some way that I brought some value, maybe sparked a new idea, maybe challenged you to not live with some of your existing challenges, but to meet them face on and to improve your business and to increase your profits. And so I want to thank you. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Take care and God bless.